What's up, everyone? This is Dwayna, aka Glamazon1026, and welcome to the Glam Room. So, if you have seen the title, this is a chit chat. Get ready with me about bad things. Like, it's hard to say, but I mean, it's about my miscarriage struggle and trying to conceive and things nobody tells you about, like the feelings that you're going to go through. Like, I feel like people say things, but they don't say like the things, you know, like, so I'm telling you the things that nobody tells you when you're going through multiple miscarriage and you're in a recurrent miscarriage and your uterus is elderly, because they tell you that when you're 35, you got an old uterus. Advanced maternal age, and you're trying to conceive and things just don't feel like they're working, and the shame and guilt that you have for not being able to provide your spouse with a family, and all that stuff. So I'm gonna be talking about that. It's tough. This is a trigger warning, and I do another one in a few minutes after the break, but I'm just letting you know what you're getting into. If you have been through a miscarriage, or if you know somebody that goes through a miscarriage and you want to understand a little bit more about what's going on with them, or you just need to hear some things that you're feeling that you feel like you're the only one feeling, stay and watch this video. I do get fairly emotional during it, so I'm just warning you about that right now, because it's a tough situation. Like, dead children is hard. It's tough. Okay, I feel awkward because I'm being vulnerable on camera. But if you're a person that has had this trauma happen to you and you can't go through it, I understand. But hopefully one day you'll be able to, because I wasn't able to for a long time either. I feel like I'm rambling, but this is a really vulnerable part of me that I'm putting out there. Like, people know that I'm sad. Like, I tell people that all the time, so they know. But they don't. It's different, and I'm very nervous about how it's going to be received. So please, if you come across this, be kind, okay? Be kind or be quiet. I love y'all. I'll see you in a few. So, I honestly don't even know where to start. Like, I'm pretty sure in the beginning I've told you that today we're going to be talking about like a bunch of hard stuff. And I figured what better way to talk about it than to pair it with doing something that I actually love. So today's just going to be a chit chat. It's probably going to be sad. There's probably going to be some funny parts, because that's how I deal with my sadness. I make a lot of jokes. I actually honestly thought I was ready to film this, and then I sat down to film it and it was like, bro. Anyway, this is a trigger warning for anybody who has experienced infant, child, pregnancy loss, stillborn, anything like that. I'm going to be talking about a lot of heavy things. So if you're able to go on, go on. If you're not, then I understand. Okay, so this video will be going up on October 15th, which is the National Day of Remembrance for infant pregnancy loss. So if you guys didn't know, October is Infants and Pregnancy Loss Awareness Month. I think Ronald Reagan made that. So it's like one good thing he did. So I feel like this year I have been looking a lot at like the posts that people have been putting up, and it's been like at first I was like, Dwayna, why are you torturing yourself? Like, this is terrible. Why are you watching these people tell their stories? Why are you looking at these posts of these people holding their dead children? And I'm just like, I don't know. I could not stop. I might be asleep, and I would just be sitting on the couch crying and then laughing because somebody puts up something that I can relate to, and then, you know, crying some more because like all these women's stories touched me. I feel like as I was scrolling, I found that the theme for this year is like breaking the silence, because miscarriage happens to so many people, but nobody talks about it. 1 in 4 pregnancies end in miscarriage, and then 1 in 8 people will have difficulties getting pregnant afterwards. I was so moved by all of these women's stories and all of these posts that I was like, you know what, maybe it's time to break my silence. Now, I know, like, if you follow me on Twitter, then I'd be like, Dwayne, you talk about miscarriages all the time. I owe it to myself to talk about this I guess Twitter is my largest platform, but I feel like I owe it to myself to talk about this, and maybe somebody somewhere will find this video and be like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. Somebody out there feels exactly like I do. I guess I'll start this off by just talking about my miscarriages. I had a miscarriage in 2018. We had a surprise pregnancy. We went on vacation for our anniversary. I came back pregnant and I didn't know. I just knew that I was just like super tired all the time, and I just felt like I couldn't live. Like I couldn't do nothing without like trying to feel like I was gonna pass out. And I would just sleep all the time, and it would be weird because it was just like you would eat and then you would automatically just like want to sleep, and then you would wake up and be hungry again. Or I would like make something, I'd be like, ooh, I really, really want to eat this thing. And then I would make it and I'll take one bite. I'd be like, I do not want to see that ever again in my life. We had like gone to church one day, and this lady saw me and she was like, you're not your usual self. Like you just look so down. I was like, I'm just tired. I've been so tired lately. I don't know. And she was like, oh girl, you're probably pregnant. And I was like, no, I'm not. And she was like, yeah, you are. And so she was like, I'm just going to pray for you, blah, 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 whatever. And so I was like, okay, cool. And so I was laughing because I was like, everybody, like, once you get married, everybody wants to say that you're pregnant, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. I was just like laughing. I was telling Reggie later. And then after that, we went to eat with some friends and we had to wait. We had to wait like a half hour on the line. And then when we get to order, like, is it going to be another half hour for your food? So I'm just like, okay, well, order everything. So I'm eating everything. Like, I'm just like, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. Our food came. We sat down with our friends. We was having a good time. I was eating. And then I just felt so sick afterwards. And I was just like, ugh, this is so disgusting. And then after that, we had left our friends and gone to the Container Store to get Reggie these, like, you know, those clear shoe boxes that you can keep your sneakers in if you're a sneaker collector. So we went to get him those, and I passed out in the store. And Reggie's like, oh my gosh, Jordan, what's the matter with you? I was like, I don't know, maybe it's because I ate so late, blah, 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 whatever. So anyway, I tell my sister about it, and she's like, are you pregnant? And I was like, no. She was like, you sure? I was like, yes. She was like, go take a test. And I took the pregnancy test, and it turned out I was pregnant. And I was just like, but here's the thing. Like, it had 2 lines, but one line was mad light. So I was like, what does that mean? Long story short, because I already have a video in detail about what happened during my first pregnancy. My first pregnancy ended in miscarriage at between 10 and 11 weeks, somewhere around there. At 10 weeks, they said there's no heartbeat. And at 11 weeks, they wanted me to come back to make sure that it was a miscarriage. So I had to have 2 separate ultrasounds to confirm. Like, that whole week was just hell for me. Like, when I say hell, like, I'm in like the depths of despair. And I'm just like praying and praying and praying that they're lying. Not they're lying, that like, oh no, it was the sonogram, they didn't know what they was doing. Maybe it was malfunctioning. And I'm just like praying and 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 praying. That week was probably like the worst week of my life, waiting for the second ultrasound to confirm whether or not I miscarried. That second time we went back, the ultrasound tech was real quiet. She didn't say nothing. And I was just like, oh, what's going on? Blah, 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 whatever. And she was like, let's just wait till the doctor gets in. And so I'm like, the doctor's taking too long to come in. Like, we've been here for an hour. She comes in, she tells us we have to take the medication to release to expel the fetus or whatever it is, the group of cells, the clumps, whatever. Because my body wasn't doing it naturally. The 19th of October, I fly home. I get into New York around like 1:30, 2 o'clock. 5:30 that afternoon, I take the pill. And by 5:30 the next morning, I have miscarried. Or I have expelled the cells or whatever. And it was weird because my husband wasn't there. And even though I was in New York with my parents, I was by myself. Like, nobody checked on me. I was just laying in my room all night in pain. Like, Reggie was on the phone with me, but it's a different experience to have your partner there with you while this is happening than being on the phone with him. And he couldn't he couldn't come with me because of the job he had, and them not giving him any time off. So, you know, I have a lot of conflicted feelings about that as well. But, you know, we have bills to pay, so he couldn't just leave, you know. I don't hold that against him though. So that's neither here nor there. After that, it was just like, okay, let me try and figure out a way to deal with this. Thankfully, I was in therapy already. So, you know, me and my therapist, we just really processed or tried to process it. I was shut down a lot because I was just really angry. Like, I went to a Christian therapist because I felt like that was necessary for me. You know, she did a lot of, like, you know, something about, like, stuff about God, but I was, like, so angry at God. Like, I didn't even care. I didn't want to hear about that. From the second ultrasound, once they told me that the baby was dead, I was like, oh, it's a wrap. Because I've been praying all week. Like, I had mad people praying and nothing happened. You know, they're like, oh, if you want something, you got to ask God about it. And, you know, God will, you know, answer your prayers. He didn't answer my prayers. So I was just like, it's a wrap. Like, we ain't got nothing else to talk about, you know? And so that was the first one. It was very, very, like, I went into a really deep depression, where I would just be on the couch all day. I would go to work, I would see my kids, and I would come home. Like, I wouldn't do anything above and beyond. Like, it was a really big struggle for me to like continue my job because I was so depressed and I felt like I had no support. That was the story of my first miscarriage. My second miscarriage happened the year after. I got pregnant again in November of 2019. And so I just remember one day I was driving to school. I was talking to my sister. I was driving to school and I just felt so nauseous. And I had to pull over on the side of the road in front of a cemetery, really, and throw up. It was not fun. And so that whole rest of the day, I just felt sick. And I was just like, what is going on with me? And then I like started counting and I started thinking about like my first pregnancy and what those symptoms were and like kind of like matching them up together. And I was like, oh my gosh, what if I'm pregnant? And at that moment, I knew I was pregnant, but I did not want to take a test because it scared the crap out of me. I was just like, no. I go to therapy, my same therapist, and I tell her, I think I'm pregnant. And she's like, think, why you don't know? And I was like, because I'm not taking the test. She was like, why not? I said, because one way or another, I'll find out. She was like, what do you mean? I said, if my period don't come, I'll find out that I'm pregnant. And if my period do come, then I want to have to get my hopes up for nothing. And she was like, that doesn't make sense. So the next day I went to Target and I picked up like the ones that's digital. So I was like, it could even be like pregnant or not pregnant. That's it. There's no up for interpretation. I carried that thing around with me for a long time. Like, I just carried that thing in my bag because I was so scared of it. I was like, no, I don't want to do it. And we're just like, let's just do it and let's figure out what's going on. So I was like, cool. Okay, we did it. It said pregnant. I started crying and like I'm just in tears because I'm happy, but I'm also very, very scared. And so one thing I did in my first pregnancy that I didn't do in my second, or that I was like, oh, you're not gonna do, like I nicknamed my baby. And I used to sing to it every night. I used to just hold my belly and be like, mommy loves you, blah, 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 whatever. And so this time I was just like, you can't do that because you don't know what's gonna happen, you know? And but it didn't stop me. So the second one was nicknamed Honeybee. The first one in my heart, it was a boy. The second one was a girl. And so I have Little Bear and Honeybee. And it was really tough losing that second child. I had panic attacks every day. I was like, it's weird because you're like preparing to have people over your house to you know, have Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's supposed to be a happy time. But I was like having panic attacks every day. Like I would tell myself not to get close to the baby because you're probably gonna have a miscarriage anyway. Like literally that's going through my head. Like it was literally anxiety all the time. And then when I finally like got happy about it, it was like something inside me was like, shut that down. You can't, no, that's not something that you do. You don't get attached to this baby because you're not gonna bring a baby home anyway. And then I would get sad and upset about that because I'm like, dang, like how traumatized am I that I can't even enjoy my pregnancy because of the first experience that I had. And nobody tells you that. Nobody tells you that when you have a miscarriage and then you get pregnant again, like for somebody who is a naturally anxious person anyway, like that's the reason I went to therapy in the first place, like my anxiety shot up. Every time I felt like morning sickness, it would be panic attack. Anytime I felt like hungry, like really, really hungry, it would be panic attack. I didn't make accounts on like the Nest or the Bump or whatever it's called or all the other like pregnancy apps. I didn't do that because I'm like, why are you like, it's like in my brain, it's just like, don't do that because that's gonna be bad luck and it's going to lead you to have a miscarriage again. And so I didn't do that. And I would like look at things like, oh, look at this baby stroller or look at this thing. And as soon as I caught myself doing that, I would shut it down. I was just like really stressed out a lot during those 2 weeks that I was pregnant. Tuesday afternoon, I had eaten lunch and I had gone to pick up one of my kids and we had our session and it was fine. And then I was walking back to my room because I had a little break between when I had to pick up my next kid. And I felt a really sharp pain in my stomach, like where your uterus is, like on the bottom of it. And I was just like, dang, what's that? And I was like, maybe I just have to go number 2. So I went to the bathroom and I went number 2. Sorry. But you know, it's bodily function. Everybody poops. And so I was like, yeah, maybe that was just it. I was like, okay, it's fine. And I was like talking to my sister. I was like, I'm freaking out because I'm having these pains in my stomach. She's like, no, that's round ligament pain. That's normal. It happens. Blah, 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 whatever. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Nothing to worry about. Oh, another thing that nobody tells you is that when you are, when you have a miscarriage and then you get pregnant again, you don't want to go use the bathroom. Like I would literally hold my pee all day because I didn't want to use the bathroom and then see blood. And so, like that night I went home, I ate dinner with Reg. I was laying on the couch, maybe like 10, 11 o'clock. I went upstairs to go to like get ready for bed and there was blood. So I text Reg because he's all the way downstairs. So I text him and I'm like, I went to the bathroom, there's blood. He runs upstairs because he knows, like, he had to deal with picking me up off the ground all the time after my first miscarriage. So he runs upstairs. He's like, it's like, are we nervous? And I was like, you know, no, people bleed all the time, blah, 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 whatever. He's like, no, call the doctor in the morning. So I'm like, okay. And I tell my sister, and she's like the same thing. People bleed all the time. It's fine. Blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so I call them and they're like, come in. Like, we can see you at this time. Come in. And I went to the doctor and they're like looking in my, like giving me an ultrasound, a regular ultrasound. They can't see nothing. They're giving me they do transvaginal sound. They found the sac. But like nothing, like, I don't know. They were just like, we're going to let you come back on Friday and we're going to take your blood then so we can see what's happening. And I was like, I miscarried, didn't I? And they were like, we're not gonna, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I just start cackling like a crazy person. I'm pretty sure everybody else in the doctor's office heard me screaming of laughter at that point because it's like, bro, you told yourself that this was not gonna work out and look at it not working out. Like, you were not crazy this whole entire time. You weren't crazy. Like, you just knew, like, what are you, that's so, like, this, you are your Raven Baxter, you know, like, you're good. Like, so I'm like cackling and the doctor and the nurse, they're looking at me like, what's going on here? At this time, they're like, come back Friday, we'll take your blood again, we'll do another ultrasound, we'll see what happens. Friday was our Christmas party for our job. And so I said, I'll come to the Christmas party because usually they give out Christmas bonuses at the Christmas party. So I came. I went to the doctor in the morning and then I went to the Christmas party, and then the doctor called me while I was at the Christmas party to let me know that I had indeed miscarried again. And then I was just like in the hallway at the Christmas party crying, like bawling. And then they came out to take the group picture, and like I was crying in the hallway, and I just like wiped it off and just like smiled like nothing was happening. I took my little Christmas bonus and I went home and I miscarried. And so it took This time my body naturally did it, so it took longer than the 12 hours that it took with the pill. And so I feel like I was miscarrying for like 3 or 4 days. Like literally, like my body was swollen. Like it was just a really tough time. This time Reggie was there, so it made it a little better. He like made me a little place on the couch. We watched Disney movies because I love Disney. You know, we had good food or whatever. And, you know, he was just trying to keep my spirits up. And then later on that night, something happened. I don't remember what, but I had like a really bad cramp. And this is going to get graphic really quickly. And so, like, I had a really bad cramp. And so I was just like screaming. And I was just like, he was like, what's the matter? I was like, something's happening. And so, like, I stood up and it was like the gates were opened, and I have a white, well, it's not white, but it's like a tan carpet, and I was like, get me off the carpet, because I knew if I stood on the carpet, we would have to throw the carpet away. And so Reggie literally like picked me up and carried me upstairs and put me in the bathroom, and like he was just so helpful, like just cleaning me up and telling me not to worry about it, and he got it, don't worry. And I'm just like freaking out and screaming and crying, and just like, it's like the worst pain I ever felt in my life. Like, they give you Percocet, but I felt like the Percocet wasn't doing anything, like literally. And so it was just like, it was a lot. And you know, we got cleaned up. He cleaned up the rest of the house that kind of got messed up. Like, put me in the bed, told me, you know, just relax, lie down, go to sleep, whatever. And that was the story of my second miscarriage. And so, like, it's just been, I don't know. I feel like this is a lot. You know, I had my 2 miscarriages, and, you know, people, they may talk about miscarriages. Sometimes they talk about them, sometimes they don't. People get really nervous when you talk about dead babies. They really do. They don't want to talk about it. Like, it's like nothing sadder than a dead child. So people usually shy away from it. People tell you how lonely you're going to feel, but they don't tell you how ostracized you feel from the rest of society. Like, you look at your friends who have babies and you just feel, I don't know, you just feel othered. I call myself, like, Mother's Day comes around and you're like in this weird space because you've carried life, but you don't have anything to show for it. So what do I call myself? So it's like an existential experience that I have every Mother's Day, of, you know, and then like everybody always wishes you happy Mother's Day. They don't know if you're a mother or not. And so what happens is I get triggered on Mother's Day. I call my mom. I tell her happy Mother's Day. I used to call my grandma. My grandmother passed. Tell her happy Mother's Day. You know, my sister's a mom now. So I'll call her and tell her happy Mother's Day. But then I'll like literally be in the dark the rest of the day, you know, because it's just a really tough day for me. And then you go on social media and you see people posting their kids and you see people posting their mothers, and you're like, where do I fit in all of this? And like, how am I supposed to feel? And then another thing is, like, I would have had a 28-month-old child and a 17-month-old child right now. I don't have any of those. And so it's just like, that's another thing. Like, nobody tells you that you continue, like, you know how old your child would be. Like, that is a thing that happens. You have all of these little anniversaries that don't mean anything to anybody else. There's so much that can trigger you when you're going through miscarriage. Nobody tells you that. It could be like the littlest thing, the most innocuous little whatever. And then you can see a baby and hold a baby and play with a baby and be fine. But then, like, I don't know, you see a Johnson & Johnson commercial or something, and then you're like, it's waterworks from there on out. I had a coworker who was pregnant with me at the same time. I got pregnant in August. She got pregnant in August. Mine was due May 16th. Hers was due May 7th. And so if you could see, like, our babies would have been the same exact age. So every time she brought her baby to the office, I look at that baby and be like, I would have had a baby that size. Or every time she talked about something, every time I saw her while she was pregnant, I'd be like, wow, I wonder what I would have looked like in this stage, because we would have been pregnant at the same time. Our children would be at the same time. And then Nobody tells you that you resent these people. Nobody tells you that that's just a normal feeling. You resent them. You resent people that get pregnant after you. Um, Archie's mother, the Duchess, their baby should be about my baby should be about their age. Kalani's baby should be about my baby should be about Kalani's baby's age. Like, you know, everybody around you that got pregnant, all the celebrities, all the everything. And so every time you see that child, you get triggered again because you know that you were supposed to have a child that would be about that age. And it's nobody tells you that, you know? And nobody tells you that these feelings are normal, you know? Nobody tells you that you're gonna hate babies for a while. Like, even like when you're happy that somebody gets pregnant, you're going to hate that person for a little bit. You're going to be jealous. You're not going to wish them ill. Like, I wish that they have like a smooth pregnancy and they never know the stain of miscarriage. Like, people who don't, they don't realize how blessed they are that they've never experienced that, you know? But at the same time, you hate them because they haven't. And that's the thing. You don't know if they haven't because nobody talks about it, you know? Unless they're like your good friend. You don't know. And so it's just like, nobody tells you that to feel that way, it's okay. Like, to be jealous is okay. To be envious of that person carrying that baby, it's okay. To be envious of the family that had a miscarriage and then subsequently got their rainbow baby. They don't tell you that it's okay for you to feel whatever you feel about that. You feel like an awful person for feeling this way about somebody who is bringing life into the world, especially knowing what you went through. You feel terrible, like, dang, like, how horrible of a person am I that I can't even be happy for this person? I can't be as happy as I feel like I should be for this person, you know? It's a tough space to be in. And then nobody tells you that, like, you're gonna have good days after you miscarry, and that the fact that you're having a good day doesn't mean that you don't care about your baby anymore. Nobody tells you that. And you feel guilty because you're like, dang, I'm having a good time. Does that mean, like, I'm over it? Does that mean it doesn't matter? Nobody tells you that. And these are just things that you have to navigate through and figure out on your own because people don't talk about it. You know? And it's a really sad and lonely experience. It really is. It's really awful. Nobody tells you that your sister is going to get pregnant regardless of whatever her story is. And you're going to have a niece and you're going to love that niece. Like, Bailey is my world. And I've told my sister this already, so she knows, but like, I am so jealous. Nobody tells you that. Nobody. And you feel like a terrible person. Nobody tells you how hard it can be after you lose babies to get pregnant. Nobody tells you that. You're just supposed to lose children and then have your rainbow baby. That doesn't work. Like, we've been trying. It doesn't work. We've gone to the fertility doctors. We've gone to regular OBGYNs. We went to high-risk OBGYNs. We've had tests done. And, you know, you go to the fertility clinics, they do all this stuff. You got to pay a whole lot of money for everything. Every time you go see them, it's a whole nother other part of money, you know, and nobody tells you that it's not going to be easy after that, especially since I got pregnant twice before. So it shouldn't be that difficult. But 2 years later, you're still trying and you've made no leeway, even though the doctors don't know what's wrong with you. They say nothing's wrong with you. Nobody tells you that. I found out that my sister was pregnant with Bailey the day I was supposed to give birth. And it took a long time for me to get up off the floor. Let's just say that. It was just a really tough time. And it wasn't that I wasn't happy for my sister. I was excited. I was ecstatic. I love Bailey. Like, you go on my social media, all I talk about is Bailey. I talk to her every day, and if I don't talk to her, I get mad. Like, I didn't see my baby today. Where's my baby? Like, why you didn't show me my baby? Why you drop off at grandma's house? I don't care about that. I need to see my baby, you know? Meanwhile, it's very, like, the first time I held her, I had a breakdown afterwards because it was just too much. Nobody tells you this. So I'm telling you this because I don't want you to be like me. Or if you are like me, I just want you to know that somebody else feels it and somebody else went through it. And you are not alone and you're not a terrible person because you're having all of these feelings. So we've technically been trying to conceive since 2019, 2020-ish, somewhere around there. We got pregnant once in 2019, but we lost that baby. But it took a while for us to get pregnant. Currently now, it's been a long time. And if you look up the definition of infertility, I fall in that category, but I hate saying it because I'm like, I got pregnant before, so is this like a bad, me being like, is this like an omen? You know, like I'm putting that on me like, oh, you're going to be infertile, you're never going to have a baby. That's another thing nobody tells you, like that the view that you have for yourself, the life that you have for yourself, it might not happen. And you got to be okay with that. Like, you have to be saying, like, if I get pregnant, great, wonderful. But there's a chance that I'm not going to get pregnant. And I have to be okay with that. Because everybody's like, don't worry, you're going to get pregnant. You're gonna... Like, I might not. Like, and I'm going to have to be okay with that. I'm going to have to live with that. So stop saying that to me. Because all it does is makes my heart hurt. So currently right now, I'm taking this thing called letrozole, which is supposed to stimulate ovulation. And then we have to test for ovulation. Ovulation kits are expensive. Like, I feel like I'm always peeing on a stick. I'm peeing on a stick to see if I'm ovulated, then I'm peeing on a stick to see if I'm pregnant. And it's just a rapid cycle of all of that all the time. Like, ovulating, cool. Pregnant, no. Ovulating, cool. Pregnant, no. And it's tiring. I don't want to pee on no more sticks. But I'm like, I want to get pregnant, so I guess I should. I've also just changed jobs again, so now I'm currently, well, I'm like in between. I still technically have insurance. I'm scared to go to the doctor because I don't want them to be like, your usually $100 copay is now $2,000 because your insurance, you haven't paid into that premium since you switched jobs. And then you got to pay that on top of whatever it is that they give you or do or the test they run or whatever. No. It's just been me and Reggie and apps and Clear Blue Easy and Pregnancy at Home and Flow and Clue, and we are it's a lot. It's complicated and it's annoying, but we're doing it. What more can we say? You know, we can't really say anything else. We're just doing it. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we get pregnant. If we don't, then that's something that I'm gonna have to deal with in therapy, you know? And I'll be fine. I just have to be the best auntie ever. Like, that's just, I mean, I'm already going to be the best auntie ever, but like, I'm just gonna be like the super duper ultra mega best auntie. And that's just gonna have to be how it's gonna be, okay? They don't tell you that men go through miscarriages too. Like, yes, no, they didn't carry the baby. No, they don't have any of the symptoms. But some people, like I know especially with our second miscarriage, our first miscarriage, Reggie really wasn't open. He's just that person that like holds a lot in. And so when I was going through my first miscarriage, he was just like, don't worry about me. We need to worry about you. And when I was going through my second miscarriage, it was kind of the same thing, but he was a little bit more open about it and about how like sad he was about it and how he felt like it was his fault and I felt like it was my fault again. You know, that's something that's like normal. Like everybody thinks it's their fault. It's not your fault. Your body is just being stupid. Um, and so when during that time, it's like a really emotionally charged time, and neither the miscarriager or their spouse wants to cook or do any of the like household things that needs to be done. So, cooking for people, bringing them things that they might need. If they need errands to be running the errands for them if you have time, like that is so important. If you can just sit with the person, that'd be great. If you can't, like find things for them to do. Like, I don't know if people still play Words with Friends, but play Words with Friends with them if that's something they like. Suggest funny TV shows. If you can, like if that's something that's in your ability to do, get somebody to clean their house, like hire a Molly maid or something. It's like, it's weird because you feel like, not that nobody cares, but like because it's a baby and it's a baby that you never met before, you feel strange because people are like, oh, I'm sorry that happened to you. But then they're just like, why are you so sad about it? Still, like you never even met this baby, you know? But you're not necessarily grieving for the child you knew because, I mean, you knew them because you're their mom, but you're grieving the experiences that you're not going to have with them, I'll never get to know, like, me and Reggie talk about our kids' eyes because I have pretty eyes, but I'm blind. Not blind, but I have a really strong prescription. And his eyes are just regular brown, but he sees perfectly. We talk about like our kids' eyes. I'll never know if Honeybee or Little Bear had my eyes, or if they had Reggie's eyes, or if they got his eyelashes and eyebrows, or if they had my eyelashes and eyebrows, or like if it was a boy, how tall that boy would be because we're both really tall, or if it would be short because Reggie's dad is short. Like I don't know that, and I'll never know that. And so you grieve all of that. And it's hard. Because once you find out, you start planning a life, and that life never happens. And so you grieve the life that could have been. Does that make sense? I've always wanted to be a mom. And so I feel like the thing that my body's supposed to do, it can't do. And I just feel worthless sometimes. I really do. And nobody tells you that that's a feeling that you're going to have. And nobody tells you that is normal. And you can tell people that you do feel worthless and they're just like, oh, no, it's fine, blah, 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 blah. And these are people who have children. And you looking at them like, shut up. Literally, honestly. And then you feel bad because they're really just trying to help. But you really just want them to shut up because you don't know what their story is, but their story ain't your story. Another thing that people tell you to do during miscarriage, pregnancy awareness is talk to other people. Like, that's the one thing that people tell me all the time. My nose contour is going to be crooked, clearly. But they're like, oh, this person had 4 miscarriages and she just had a baby. Like, girl, I don't care. She ain't me. Like, we don't know what's going to happen to me. Like, it's 3 years later. I still haven't had a baby. And nobody knows why. And so, like, what are we really doing here? Like, I don't want to hear their happy ending story because I haven't had my happy ending. And I might not have my happy ending. I feel like they're trying to take away from the uncomfortableness by telling you that somebody else had a baby after they had a miscarriage. Lots of people have babies after they have miscarriages. That has nothing to do with me and my situation right now. And I know they're just trying to be helpful, but seriously, please, people, stop doing that. So that's helpful. Another thing that's helpful that you can do is talk about the baby to your friend. Ask them if they're comfortable with it. You don't have to say the right thing. you just have to acknowledge that there was a loss. Like, like people like to pretend that it didn't happen. Oh, you lost a baby? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that happened. And then that's it. Like, acknowledge that there's sometimes that they could be sad and you don't know why. And it could be because of the loss that they suffered. Don't tell people, well, at least you got pregnant. Because I heard a lot of that. Like, at least you know you can't get pregnant. Okay, yeah, I got pregnant twice, but I haven't been able to get pregnant since. Like, or like, it's better than having a child with a disability. Like, how would I know that? I don't have a child. You understand? That's the difference. I'm pretty sure having a child with disability is tough. And I'm not saying that, one is better than the other or whatever. But I honestly just don't think that people should use people's disabled children as a gotcha point. Like, oh, well, at least you didn't have a disabled child. That's not helpful for either me or the person who has a disabled child. So don't say that no more. It's what God wanted. Like, don't say that. Yeah, don't say that. Because let me tell you something. As somebody who was born and raised Christian, like I said before, my relationship with God has suffered tremendously from miscarrying twice. So don't say that's what God wanted. Because listen. Word? Okay. All right, God. And it just makes you upset. I know when I first started talking about my miscarriage online, people would be like, well, you didn't pray hard enough, or you should pray about it. Like, what made you think I didn't pray in the first place? And how do you know that I didn't pray hard? Like, I literally spent a whole week of my entire life doing nothing but crying and praying and wailing and weeping. And what happened? My baby died. So don't tell me that. That makes me angry. That makes me very angry. That makes me want to rip people's faces off. Don't tell me that it's what God wanted, or that I didn't pray hard enough, or bring church or religion into it in any type of way. I'll get very, very, very angry. If you have a faith or religious background, that your faith will considerably be shaken because of what you went through. Nobody tells you that. Like, I love Jesus, yeah, but he get on my nerves. He do. I don't know, like God, all of them, the three of them that's up there, they get on my nerves. And then the subsequent infertility after it makes you question your self-worth. Nobody tells you it's going to be hard to sustain friendships with people who got pregnant after you. They don't tell you that. Like, you can double tap their pictures and, you're like, oh, how cute. And nobody tells you that. And that's another thing, like, because you be like, oh, I really want to have a baby. And then people who don't even want to have babies, or who've mentioned that, like, I'm not having children. Like, I'm happy with no children. They get pregnant and they're so excited about it. And then you're just like, really, God? Really, that's what you're doing? We really playing around like this? And so you just like, a couple of things for people who are miscarrying that you might need, that you don't know that you need, especially if it's your first time. That's my first time. I did not know. I think a good thing to invest in would be like Thinx or Nix panties, because they are period panties. And so they hold all the stuff that's coming out of you, because there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out of you. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to feel nice. You're going to need some type of protective underwear. You're going to need like those always overnights, and they have the thin ones, but I got the big thick ones. Like, they're like this big, and you open them like 3 times, and they just keep, and they cover you from the rooter to the tutor, and they're great. And you're going to need that because, like I said, you don't want to mess anything up. Another thing you can get is chucks. I don't know what the real word for them is. Or puppy pads. You can use puppy pads. Like, you can put that on your bed so that in case there's any overflow or spillage, you can use that. You're going to need like ibuprofen or some type of pain pills, because like, I took the Percocet, but the Percocet really didn't do anything for me. Another thing that you're going to need is like really big panties. I just literally went to Target and just bought like the biggest Hanes briefs that I could find. And then like when you're finished, you could throw them away because it doesn't matter if they're messed up or not. Heating pads. So I have a hot water bottle heating pad. You know the old timey ones that look like a whoopee cushion? That would be good. An actual electric heating pad would be good. Those like patches the thermocare patches, those are great because they just really help alleviate some of the pressure that your body is going to be in. Snacks, you're going to need snacks because it's a long process. You're going to get hungry. Drink a lot of water. Pedialyte, Body Armor, Gatorade, Powerade, whatever it is, you're going to need it. You're going to be losing a lot of fluids and you need to replenish them some way. And you might not be able to eat for a while. So you need to do that. Another thing that people don't tell you is that there are communities of people like us who do work for people like us. I'm not in them because I'm scared, to tell you the truth. I don't want to be around people that have experienced what I've experienced, and I don't want to be vulnerable around them for them to see my pain. Like, I could do it right here in front of the camera because it's only me and the camera talking. Other people might watch it. Like, I might be embarrassed when it goes up, but, you know, right now I can talk about it because it's just me and you. In Nashville, my friend tried to get me involved with this place called the Rooted Bridge, and they help a lot of people who've experienced pregnancy loss and miscarriage and blah, blah, blah. And so if you're in Nashville, that's a resource for you. I'm pretty sure there's resources all over. I'm going to tell you the truth. I haven't looked because a lot of it is triggering to me. So if you are watching this and you know of anything in your city, you can put them in the comments and let other people know that this is a resource for them in this place. But you can really just go on Instagram and peruse the pregnancy loss and infant loss hashtag, and there are a lot of resources that you can find that way. And so if that's something that you want to do, you can go do that. The irony of me losing my first pregnancy in the month of October, when it is Pregnancy Loss and Awareness Month or whatever, is not lost on me. And every October, I push October away. And everybody's talking about pregnancy loss and awareness, but I don't care because I don't want to deal with that. And so this year is the first year that I have decided, like, I usually post something like, oh yeah, pregnancy loss, awareness, blah, blah, whatever. This year is the first year that I've posted something, that I'm going to post something and actually do something to remember the babies that I lost. So October 15th, which is the day that this will be up, is the day of remembrance. And at 7 p.m., people light candles for their babies. So I'm going to do that today and honor the children that I lost and stop trying to push them out of my head. And so it's going to be tough, but I told Reggie about it, you know, because I don't do anything on Mother's Day. I don't do anything on the days that their birthday was supposed to be. I don't do anything on the day that I mark as their miscarriage date. So I'm going to do it this month, this year. And this video is the beginning of that. This video is me talking about them. And honoring them. But yeah, they tell you to talk to them. And if I could let them know anything about me, is that their mother would have loved it. And their mother loves them. And I'm sad that they didn't get to experience it firsthand. And I feel stupid doing this because, like, now my pain is available for the entire YouTube or whomever to see. People in my family watch my channel that I've never talked to them about this. So Surprise! I feel stupid because I already did my concealer, but it's fine. So yeah. So today at 7, I will be lighting a candle in honor of the children that I lost. And I encourage you, if you have lost any children, to do the same. Like, it doesn't have to be a special candle. Like, I'm going out and buying special candles. I always tell myself that every October I'm going to get a tattoo for them, but I'm scared. And I don't want my mom to yell at me. Even though I'm grown, like, I don't feel like having her yell at me about getting a tattoo. If you are watching this and it is October 15th, or if it's any day after, and you have any like type of spirituality or faith or something, you can say a prayer for me and my family. And if you can say a prayer for all the other families who've lost babies, that would be a really great thing to do. Because I'm pretty sure after I light that candle, I'm going to be inconsolable. And so, you know, and I'm going to be okay with that. Anyway, I'm going to finish up my face and get cleaned up. And I'll meet you guys at the end. Okay, y'all, so I had to like clean up my concealer and do my eyeshadow. Like, some places I cried it off, so, you know, it took me a little bit longer to get ready and to be at this end point with you guys here today than I thought it would. Today, you know, it really wasn't about the look that I did, but it turned out cute anyway, you know. If you've reached the end and you're here with me, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sticking through some of these tough emotions I talk about. If you are a miscarriage survivor, you know, you are here with me. We will always be sisters, even though it's a crappy place to be. You always have somebody that, you know, went through it, so you'll always have somebody that understands what you're going through. There will be days when you're less angry, and there will be days that you're not angry at all, and the cycle starts again, and it's tiring, but you manage to get through it. You build your life around the grief, because nothing is the same. Like, the Dwayna that was prior to October 19th, 2018 is different than the Dwayna that came afterwards, is different than the Dwayna that came after December 6th. So, you know, it's just what it is. You know, we don't know how my story ends because we're still in the middle of it. Hopefully it has a happy ending, but if not, that's something that we will have to deal with, and that we'll have to work with. And then that's just going to be it. You know, maybe it's not necessarily a give up, maybe it's a pivot. So, you know, that's just basically it. Anyway, guys, like I said, time for my spiel. If you like this video, be sure to like it down below. It's hard because how you gonna like a video about dead babies? That's weird. But if it helped you, or if you know somebody it can help, there you go. Put the thumbs up down below. I'm usually not this morbid on my channel. Usually we're talking about beauty and hair and stuff, like fun things. And so, like, if you want to see some of that, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Be sure to hit the notification bell so that you can be part of the Glam Fam and know exactly when I upload. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And I will see you guys in my next video, which will be about makeup. Or hair, I don't know. So anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for sticking with me again. I know it's tough. Thank you. And I appreciate you. And I love y'all. So I'll see you in my next video. Bye.